I just welcome my students. We're going to start the lesson right now. This is class number 3, week number 3. I always say this because eventually it'll be class number 7, week number 8. We have that week in the middle of the semester where it kind of throws it off a bit, but nothing to worry about. It's just an off one number down instead of up. All right, so we're going to continue with the Photoshop class. I'm going to share my screen now, and we're going to record the lesson as always, as this is being recorded, so feel free to watch it later on if you have to go over some of the more technical stuff about the lesson. Okay, so here we go. All right, so our discussion groups are doing really well. We had a shorter class last week because just the way it was, usually this was taught in person. I give you guys like a lab time to get that exercise done. If it's online, I just kind of give you the time to do whatever you guys have to do to get this done. We're not in the classroom, obviously. Um, so this was the other challenge that we have under the discussions group. So this is where we left off. We did the melon selections exercise. So I can see a lot of you guys did really well. That shows me that you're grasping all the techniques that you're learning so far. This is a very important one because you get to learn all the, basic intermediate selection methods and put together like a montage of any type. And I know it looks kind of silly and funny, but this is a really, really good, helpful exercise to kind of gauge where my students are at with their learning curve with Photoshop and the selection abilities it has. So nice to see everybody participate. Not everybody, but I encourage everyone, the rest of you that haven't submitted anything, please do so to show me that you're on par. So these are the challenges I give you from time to time. You won't get another one until later on, maybe like next week or so. We're doing the more like a technical exercise. So that doesn't mean you get one every week. It's just whenever I feel like there's something for you to participate in. And I see the grade book as well. A lot of you did hand in that first assignment, getting the licensing and the application sorted out. Sometimes it does take a while, so I gave you that extra week. So I'm just bumping everything 1 week over from the beginning of our assignments until we line up with the exact due dates. Okay, so now we're getting into this third module. So if you go into class modules, you'll see this morning I released module number 3. So this has to do with advanced selections and document assembly. This is where you really get to learn how to use Photoshop to its wouldn't say full potential, but its real potential of what it can do with more advanced techniques and things like that. So if you open that module up, you'll see the zipped file that I have prepared for you. It's called class3.zip. I also want you to keep in mind that the way these lessons are made, like it's all progressively set up. So if you did miss last week's class, it'll be hard for you to just jump in and I wouldn't say difficult or hard, but it'll be a little harder for those of you that haven't followed the previous one. So make sure if you did miss that class, you watch the video or you practice the exercises before you get to the next one. It just makes it that much easier as we get into the more selection methods and stuff, the more advanced methods. So let's download this folder now. Simply click on the zip file. And this gets to be downloaded wherever you like. I already have my desktop location, so I'm not going to do it again, but you can save it there. And then we go back to the folder, okay? And you'll notice there's 3 more folders saved within that folder. We have folder called Lesson 2, Lesson 3, Lesson 4. One is called the Cutout folder. And then there's this one here. It's an advanced transformation folder. And this one is the actual another assignment I'm going to give you for you to hand in for next week. Now, as far as the assignments go, you're going to get one every other week or every week, depending on the scheduling. There's also a main project I'm going to introduce to you as well today. It's the movie poster. So that's something we're going to talk about later. Okay. But this is a good fundamental way for you to learn how to apply your skills and solve this puzzle in this case. You would have to reconstruct this image together. All right, now this technique you can apply it on many other scenarios. I call this the CSI technique. It's like you're reconstructing destroyed information. There's a lot of purpose for this. As you can see, even the investigators, they find evidence, they put it back together. We get to have some fun with this. All right, so let's start with lesson the L2 folder, the cutouts. This comes with a prepared PDF for you, so it shows you the steps. What exactly are we going to learn here? Isolating an image cutouts. So I'm going to introduce some other additional methods with this. You're going to learn how to do select by range. So it's not just your typical selection, technique. It's something to do more with the menus and the Photoshop's masking capabilities. So it's a little more on the advanced side, intermediate to advanced. You can follow the steps here, but I'm just gonna go ahead and do it from my perspective here with the video, and then you can just kind of, if you'd like to take notes and read stuff, this is exactly what we're going to be covering this morning. And then the second part is open up this other document and merging one document into the other. So we're going to merge documents today, learning how to apply advanced selections and merging two documents together. And that is something you're going to be doing a lot this semester, moving documents perhaps maybe to other applications, or merging documents within one application, putting multiple files together for whatever criteria or purpose you might have. So this is, we're going to be covering this part here. And then we'll get into this folder after. I'll explain to you the details of that one. Okay, so let's start with this one first. We're going to go ahead and open up this file. Notice the extension. Before I open up any document, I always have the tendency to look at the extension. I want to see exactly what that document is. So if I see like a PDF, I know it's a PDF file. If I see a PSD, I know it's a Photoshop document file. If I see a JPEG, I know it's a JPEG file, right? Or a PNG or a GIF, because it's important to understand what formats work with which applications, right? Photoshop is a quite universal, the most powerful digital imaging software on the planet. It can open up almost every format. Sometimes it has to convert the format to its own preference to, view it or preview it or edit it even in the most cases. But you have to understand that certain formats are meant for, certain applications. And then we get to the more advanced format like 3D videos and things like that have their own special software. InDesign, for example, is a format Photoshop cannot open, because InDesign is a page layout program. As you know, you do the constructive layout and design in InDesign by implementing sources from Photoshop, Illustrator, and any other sources that you're going to put together. Okay, so let's open up this cutout file. And you'll see like a stunt rider with the motorcycle. Learning from the last lesson, we can technically integrate the selection methods we learned to get this done, but you're not going to learn any new things that way. But I still want to be transparent about it, because honestly, I can use the object selection tool and get this done. Probably even the quick selection tool. I can use the magic wand. I can click on the background with shift, right? I can do this if I want. A couple of clicks though, right? So I selected the background, and all I do later is I select and I inverse the selection. This is a very popular method that designers like to use in Photoshop. Pretend it's like a white background. You go one click, select the background, and then you inverse the selection to select the opposite. So it's a quick way to select the subject in this case. Many techniques and tricks you're going to learn, and it's up to you which one you like to use. There's no real right or wrong way. It's just a matter of getting it done. Okay. Another one using the conventional methods would be to use the object selection tool. With this one, you just make a selection, you wait a few seconds, and there it goes. The problem with these techniques, it's not that they don't work, it's they miss a lot of spots. Like this one missed a few spots here and there. Some of the details are missed. This is where even artificial intelligence can't really do its due diligence and do a 100% job. Sort of, you have to go in there and do your own inspection to make sure it's perfect. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do today. Compare from an automated perspective of selecting things to doing it manually with your own creative abilities. So to follow the exercise precisely, we use the select menu and we select what's called a color range. Okay, so color range has been around since, the introduction of Photoshop. And what it does is selects colors from the image perspective. If you had like a specific color you wanted to select, let's say you have like yellow bananas or red telephone booths, you can then click on that particular color and it'll make that particular selection based on you clicking on different parts of the image. It's important that you move the color range palette away from the document so you can see what's happening at the same time. The default is sampled colors. You can also target colors like reds and yellows and things like that, and you'll see how it's selecting them from the preview. Sampled colors is the most conventional way to use this, as you can decide yourself what colors you want to select. In this case, I'll start with this blue sky color on the top left corner here. As I click on that color, you notice how it's selected, right? Now, holding the Shift key on my keyboard, I'm going to move my mouse down vertically like this and pick this lighter shade of blue as well. So now I added this lighter shade of color to the darker blue shade of color. You can even hold the mouse down and kind of swipe it. What I'm going to do also is keep holding Shift and keep adding different shades of blue. And notice how gradually it's selecting those colors from my preview. And this is very thorough and pretty precise because you're kind of, in this case, we have a gradient background, like it's getting lighter and darker. So it's easy for us to kind of go and select those colors one by one. As soon as we get to the lightest color here in the corner, notice how now I have a preview that I really like how it's looking actually. It's selecting the background in a white and the subject, in this case, the stunt rider with the motorcycle there in black. That means I know that's going to be perfectly selected. And the purpose of me making a selection like this, so I can extract that subject and then copy and paste it into another image. You can also try different previews. Okay, but I like the default. I wouldn't like to mess with it unless we really need to. You can also invert the selection. Okay, invert is like selecting the opposite, which in this case, it would make sense. But because I'm following the exercise sheet, I want to show you the next step. Okay, so this way you can get even a better result or more precise result if needed to be. So I'm going to leave this at that. Click OK. Right, and now it's selecting exactly what you saw there, the background. I'm going to reference back to my PDF here.
So I think I missed the part where after you selected all the color range, um, did you select preview selection?
No, I was just talking about it.
Oh,
Not,
okay.
yeah, I just kind of, that's why I don't want to go to every little detail in Photoshop because then the lesson would be like, double the time. But I'll go over the important parts. So I just kind of mentioned that, but I didn't really select it. I just clicked OK.
Okay.
Okay. Everybody else okay? Very good. So when you click OK, what happens is you're selecting, make sure you're zoomed out. I'm pressing Command or Control minus. You can see how I'm selecting like the background with the selection within the background, which is the motorcycle, right? And also, if you follow this handout that I have here for you, this written handout, all the steps, the next step would be for us to enter this quick mask mode. And that's what I wanted to show you next. Is it always necessary? No. But will it give us the perfect, or almost nothing's really perfect, but close to perfect of a selection? Yes, absolutely. So maybe I can do this one more time really quickly. What do you say? Because some of you, maybe I can hear you're having a slight setback. So let me just do it again. Okay, I'm gonna one more time quickly. We go into select color range. Okay, and all I did there was I clicked on this blue here. I pressed Shift and I clicked on the bottom left corner. So I'm looking at the top left corner, bottom left corner, and I'm just going to go across to the opposite bottom right corner. And this kind of gives me all the blues that are partaking in the background. It's a gradient blue sky background. You can see by my preview, I did a pretty decent job by selecting all of it because it's white and the subject that we want to select is black, which is the motorcycle with the stunt rider. So having that preview, it's an assurance that I know I'm going to get the right selection. You simply press OK, and this is what happens next. Okay, so you get the actual selection.
I think I messed up. I don't know.
You want to try it again quickly?
Okay, I'll try it again.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do I deselect everything?
So go to select and then hit deselect.
Okay.
And that's how you would start all over again. Yeah, select, deselect. No, don't do reselect because now it's switching back and forth. So deselect is also, and this goes for everyone. I need you to learn this shortcut. Command D or Control D means deselect. See, to select something is just as important as to deselect something, because if you have a selection, you're stuck with that selection. Photoshop primarily focuses on a selection base. Okay, that's its primary target. When you don't have a selection, if you click away with any selection tool, I like this one, the rectangular. I just click away from the selection. That's another way to deselect the selection. Very important, because if you don't know how to deselect, you can obviously do something on the selection as opposed to doing it on the overall image. Okay, so you got to ask yourself a question. Do you want to select something or you don't want to select something? So in this case, we want to select the background. I can also do deselect this way. Select, deselect, right? Quickly, let's do it again. So we're using the select menu today because like Photoshop without selections and layers wouldn't be the program it is, right? So we have to learn the two most primary fundamental principles of Photoshop, selections and layers, and then the other stuff comes secondary. Okay, so select, color range. Okay, and then my preview has to change. So I'm just going to click here to do it again. Shift. I'll click over here. Keep holding Shift. Notice how the Shift adds a little plus icon beside the eyedropper. The eyedropper picks up the color, and I click on three spots over here, like top left, and bottom right. And then the thumbnail assures my selection is going to be exactly the way I want it to be. I press OK, and there's my selection. Okay? All right, so now what I want to do is basically go to quick mask mode. Now I'm going to teach you the shortcut right now. I'm going to press D for default there. The shortcut is the letter Q. So if you press Q by itself, just press Q, you can enter, oops, quick mask mode. It just wasn't working for me for a second because I clicked on the Teams window. If you press Q on your keyboard, Mac, PC, doesn't matter. This is how you enter quick mask mode. Please remember this because it's very important. Quick mask mode is like a different world in Photoshop. It's like day versus night, okay? Because whatever happens here is based on perfecting your selections using a brush system. What that means is I zoom in. So I'm using Command Control plus space bar to navigate around that image, right? And then I'm going to use the brush tool to perfect my selection. But make sure you're consciously aware of your foreground and background colors. In this case, I have white as my foreground color. If that's the case, then I'm going to be taking away from the mask, or in this case, the selection. If I press X, however, I'm switching the black to the foreground color, which is what I need in order to add to my selection. So black adds to the selection and white subtracts from the selection. When I say selection, I mean this reddish pink masking preview that you're looking at. This is called a quick mask. This is how professionals use Photoshop for decades now to perfect their selections. So I'm introducing this to you in week class number 3 because it's important that we cover this part. And we're going to use it later on in many other scenarios, but this is the first one I want to share with you. So you simply go ahead and press X. So X is your switch button, X, and you simply add to the selection. So see how I missed a few spots over here, right? Because there's a blue that matches the blue background. Sometimes it could be the white, sometimes it could be the grays. All the colors I'm going to grab right now and include, like this one here, right? These are the spokes. So this is how you can manually perfect any selection. Okay. And this is not going anywhere, guys. I don't care how many upgrades of Photoshop they do. Quick Mask is always there. There is some improved Quick Mask, similar methods that are part of Photoshop, but this is still like the bread and butter, if you want to call it, right? Now, let me just show you how the spokes work, because look at this, the tire spokes. Look at the detail. This image is not the best resolution image that you're going to find. Therefore, the selection won't be perfect. It's up to you as the designer to prepare the image to the best way possible. In this case, I'm going to use the pencil tool. And there's the pencil tool. That's the only time I would probably use this tool is right now. But that one has a very small tip, and you can use a 1 pixel, maybe even a 2 pixel tip to grab a very small area of the selections. I'm just drawing straight lines right now. I'm going to mess up on purpose. Press Command Z, which is back and back 2 steps. I'm going to go back to 1 pixel. I think 1 is okay. You can also do this with the brush too. You can make the brush also 1 pixel. I just like the pencil because it's rigid and it's pretty detailed in this case. So the pencil, okay, the pencil tool, you can change it to 1 pixel. The trick is this. You click here in the beginning, and if you hold Shift and you click on the other side, you draw a perfect straight line. Again, click, Shift, click. So don't hold Shift, just click, press Shift when you have to connect the dots. So in this case, I go click, then I hold Shift, and I click over here. So click, Shift, click, click, Shift, click. So you see that really fast, and that's what happens. There we go. Okay. You want to make the brush thicker, you can, but this is how you can get all the details that normally you can't get using any of the other Photoshop, because it's too hard to recognize these spokes. The capabilities are very, very tedious, you know, like to pick up those similar shades. And I'm just gonna, not that you have to go all out like this, but it's good to know that you can pretty much get any. Can you imagine you're doing hair on an animal or a
I
person?
am not able to draw the proper line with like holding shift and keeping the cursor.
So if you click, let me just make the brush bigger. If I click here once and I hold Shift and I click over here, I draw a straight line. See?
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So again, you would do it over here somewhere, right? So Shift, click, but don't keep pressing Shift because now this happens. So I'm gonna go click, Shift, click, right? I'm gonna click over here, Shift, click over here, click over
Got it.
here, Shift, click over here. So you only use Shift when you have to angle the connection. Yep.
Now it's working. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, so this is a good way to practice this. This is why I'm doing these exercises with you. I like the fact that you're asking questions and you're participating. So I would encourage everybody to do the same if you're having any type of setbacks or questions. I mean, look, we're just beginning to learn the program. So I do expect you guys to ask questions. So please feel free to do that. I'm going to do the same thing with the other tire. Make the brush size really, really small. Maybe I'll go with 2 pixels for this one. And then, oh, look, I have the white. That's why it's not working for me. So I'm going to switch it to the black. Make sure it's 100% black. What happens sometimes is if students have, anyone has the gray instead of the black, you're going to get a faded color. And that's going to compromise your selection. It'll be 80% opacity or something like that. What you want to do is make sure this is 100% black. So make sure all the values are set to 0, like the RGB and the, you know, all the other ones. Just go all the way to the edge. Another way to reset the colors. Let's say I have, and by the way, notice how if I select blue or red, it's not showing up as blue or red because in quick mask mode, colors don't matter. It's all about grayscales. And grayscales from 0, meaning white, to black, meaning 100%, present the opacity of a selection. So if you want to reset this to black and white, which you should, is press D on your keyboard. D for default. So let's go over these shortcuts again. Q is quick mask mode. D is default. And X switches the foreground and background colors as you do in the quick mask. And you want to know another shortcut is B for brush. I can go online and give you guys the latest shortcuts handout. I think mine that I have uploaded there is not. I will find one and upload it for you guys. But all the shortcuts I'm teaching you are here. If you roll over the mouse, look, it tells you, look, B for pencil, right? That's the shortcut. Look at the quick mask mode right here. Q for quick mask mode, right? X to switch the colors. The only one that isn't there is probably D for default. That's like one of those shortcuts you just have to kind of know from experience. But all the other shortcuts are kind of there visually, you know, cueing you in and hinting you on how to use. So I'm just going to do shift click again. Right. I think we're ready now to move on to the next phase as I selected all the details I needed for my subject here, the bike. So now we go to the next step. So we went to quick mask mode to get this perfectly, you know, covered with our brush and in order to orchestrate our selection. So if we press Q again, it goes back to selection mode. So if you press Q, quick mask mode, Q selection mode, quick mask mode, selection mode, right? But when you go back to selection mode, if you notice, it's selecting the background rather than, you know, the motorcycle, right? Or the stunt rider with the motorcycle. So what you have to do now is one more step is to go to select inverse. So you want to select the subject, not the background. I like to work with the subject being painted instead of the background because a lot of you can get an exercise on YouTube. They'll do it the opposite. What I just did was the opposite, meaning they would paint the sky pink and leave the person not selected, if you know what I mean. So you don't have to do this part. But I'd rather do that and this. It's a lot faster than me showing you how to, let me just show you what I'm talking about here. Than me painting, see how it's opposite now, the background is pink. I'm pressing Q, by the way. Right? So I'd rather do it from the inverse perspective and then do exactly what I did and just do select inverse to select the bike and the stunt rider and not the background. So follow this technique closely. It's very important that you learn this because then you can apply it to many other similar scenarios. And I'll show you some other things along the way, of course. All right, so we have the selection. We're ready now to copy and paste this selection into the other image. So I want to edit, copy. Copy the selection, right? Sorry, I can't hear you. Backgrounds on mine, some of the blue background, not really perfect. Yeah, this is fine. The background here, like this. If you press Q, if it's not pink, press Q, it'll go back to normal. So then how do you want to fix if you made a mistake in masking it? Can you erase some spots and bias? So if you press Q, then you zoom in, you can. With the brush tool. You can always go back to Q, quick mask mode, and use the pencil or the brush and fix the selections. But it's better to do it the other way. So for now, let's just go with this, okay? Because I can always go back later and do it again from the other perspective. I just like to do, so if you do select inverse again, for example, and then press Q, then you're back to where this was. You got to kind of go 2 steps back and forth. I just don't want to add confusion to this because it's already a little confusing with inversing and reversing. But if you want to do it this way, make sure you fix it here, so you don't have to go back and forth, right? So once you have it like this, then you go press Q. By the way, when I'm pressing Q, it's over here, this little button. Standard mode, quick mask mode. So now you go back to normal, regular mode, and you go select inverse, and you select our subject, right? The bike and the person. Then we copy that selection. I like to use Control C, or if you're using a Mac, it's Command C. I'm going to go back to the desktop here. And we're going to open up the other image. It's called jump.psd. You're going to double click on that image. And you'll notice now you have another image opened up on a separate tab. So you have this one here and this one over here. So you have two different images open at the same time. In the older days of Photoshop, the documents look like this. I don't want you to do this. I just want you to watch, okay? Because they're all floating windows. So I can easily go drag and drop one image to the next. It was kind of nice. But after 2008, I think, they kind of made it all docking, like a docking interface. So it's easier to maneuver and move together at the same time. To also accommodate smaller monitors, tablets, and things like that. So to put it back, I'm going to drag, hold the mouse, wait till it turns blue, let go, and then it docks into place. The disadvantage here is you can't drag and drop. Well, you can, but you have to kind of go up here, then down here. Rather than dragging and dropping, I'm going to copy and paste. This is why we have a selection. So we copy the selection, like I did it 3 times already. I'm going to go to the jump document, and I'm going to paste the selection. Okay? You can also do paste special, paste in place, all these different ones. Paste is Command or Control V. It's universal all across any system, whether you're copying and pasting your email to someone, or your Microsoft Word doing copy and paste content, documents, Photoshop, you're doing selections, you name it, right? Even in Illustrator, you can copy and paste objects and stuff. So I'm going to hit paste, Control V, and then there's my result. Another thing I want to add here is probably the size, because maybe it's not the exact size that I want. I'm going to go to Edit and use the infamous Free Transform. So Free Transform gives you the ability to resize. Well, you got to hold Shift to keep it straight. If you don't hold Shift, actually, it might be the opposite on you, because I noticed when you install, when you make, you don't have to hold Shift. It perfectly does the resize. I'd like you to tell me if it does or it doesn't. If not, I'd like to know eventually. But for me, I got to hold Shift. For you, if you don't have to hold Shift, don't. But you can control how you can resize or decrease the size of any selection. In this case, this layer here. If you go to the outside corner, you can also rotate. So you can rotate and scale with this Free Transform option. Then you simply press the Enter or Return button, and there's our final composition. So we're able to take this image and paste it into here. Now, yes, I wanted to show you quick masking because it's part of the lesson, but if I was to do this again very quickly, just to teach you, there's the object selection tool. Watch this. And move the mouse on top. See, you can actually go like this, Shift select and do it that way. You can also select the background, select inverse, copy, paste. So it did it a lot faster, but the difference between this image and that image is the details. So I missed some spots over here, his legs cut out. I missed some other parts. Notice how I brought in some of the blues and stuff. So it wasn't perfect, okay? And sometimes if you're a professional, you can't have a non-perfect selection. It's a lot more, precise if you do it the way I showed you. And yes, you can mix the methods, of course. You could have done that with Quick Mask and still made it perfect. But sorry, I didn't get that. Yeah, the eraser tool. Yeah, you can use the eraser tool if you want to make it. If you do have some stuff that's, let's say worst comes to worst, you missed something, you can also use the most traditional tool is the eraser tool, and you can literally erase stuff if you want. But it's once you do that, and you let's say you make a mistake, it's hard to go back. Whereas quick masking is a little more forgiving. Okay, so you can use the eraser if needed to be. Absolutely, yeah. Okay. So this is our finished product of the exercise. We want to save this now. So I would all like you to go to File, Save As, and we'll just call this combined, finished TSD file. Okay, so just call it combined finished. And this is going to be as a Photoshop format saved in our exercise folder. So go ahead and hit save. Oh. I'm going to close this down. Don't save. Close the other document down. That won't save either. So from the two files together, two separate files, we amalgamated them both. These are the steps that I have, and this is the finished piece. Okay, so it looks simple, but there's a lot of techniques here that I want you to kind of learn and practice. Even if you have learned Photoshop before, learn the quick masking and the selection part of getting it more, perfecting your selections, basically. Okay. So now let's go to the third folder. This one's called Lesson 3, Select. This is an extra one I wanted to throw in there to teach you some other advanced techniques Photoshop has, even before the AI capabilities came in. So we're going to learn how to do a content-aware scale, right, in this case. So if you open this image up here, you'll notice it looks like a destination wedding. They're all out there on a beach. But if you go to view, we're going to open up our guides here, show guides. I like to use my shortcuts. So Command colon or semicolon gives you the guides, or Control colon semicolon. Beside the letter L on your keyboard is the colon or semicolon. You can easily use the guides this way. With this image, if you go to the Move tool and you want to resize this image to the boundaries of that particular guide, or let's call it a frame, and you press, Edit, Free Transform, and you might have to hold Shift, some of you. I don't have to hold Shift on mine. I can just go like this and like this. The problem when you resize an image to fit within, let's say you're doing a website and your parameters are set as such, you have to go to certain width constraints or heights, and you have to, resize images and maybe trim the sides and stuff. This is what can happen, and I've seen this happen quite a bit actually, even on print, believe it or not. It looks unprofessional, and although they all got taller and skinnier, it's not the right result we want, right? So this is a no-no. You don't want to distort images like this, especially with people. You can really tell. You might get away with objects and backgrounds and stuff, but not people, right? So the method I'm trying to explain here is under the Edit menu, and we can use what's called the Content Aware Scale option in Photoshop. And this is what the exercise is geared towards. So if you do select that option here, and then you do the sides, you basically bring this in, and you bring the other one in. Photoshop's AI capabilities are that it recognizes the subjects and it separates the background. This way it doesn't affect the people, it just affects the background that you're scaling. It's a pretty remarkable technique, because then you can just do things a lot faster as opposed to just butchering the image and making it look bad. This is not flawless, however. So if I zoom in, I can show you what I mean by that. Sometimes it does distort parts of an image. In this case, it distorted her hand. Okay, so this is not really appropriate. Okay, and there's ways to prevent this from happening, and that's by applying like a quick mask and protecting that area. So it's more like trial and error, investigating the after result, and then preventing the the glitch to happen. Okay, so I'm going to press Command or Control Z now that I explained to you how this works. Let me explain on the other example how this is orchestrated to perfection. So this is without help. That's what the layer says. I'm going to hide this layer and show the other layer with help. I'm just clicking on the visibles to show you. This exercise is prepared for you. So if you go to layers, there's channels and there's paths. These are very important palettes that are it's the trio. You got the layers, channels, and paths. They've been there together for the beginning of time since Photoshop started. So channels are an advanced way of controlling your selections and your color combination. Most RGB images have three channels: red, green, and blue. Okay, the combination of these three channels create the spectrum of millions of colors, which is RGB. I highly recommend you don't do this. A lot of times people click on the visibles and end up getting all kinds of weird results. This is just you kind of seeing different colors. So if you do stuff like that, just click on the RGB and you reset it back to normal, basically, if that happens to you. What I want to point out to you here is this other channel here called scale. This was already made. So I'm going to teach you how to make one like this. And this is getting into now really advanced stuff like alpha channels. But it's not that hard to understand since we're talking about selections. I want you to correlate something advanced like this to why you need a selection. Why should you save a selection? And why would you load a selection? Now, what are selections basically for instead of copying and pasting? What other purpose do selections serve? So this will clearly demonstrate that because this was already pre-made by using a selection method. They saved the selection and they call it scale. I can call this anything. I can call it 3 teens, okay? I can rename this anything I like. As long as I can identify it later, I can control that selection and apply it towards my effect. The effect in this case is I'm just going to go back to channels, click on RGB. I familiarized you with the channels aspect of why it's there so you understand when I do it. I go back to layers. I click on this layer that's called with help, which is these 3 teens in the woods. So we're going to go to the edit menu. We're going to do what's called content aware scale because we know if we do transform, free transform, and we do this, same thing happens, right? It's not right. That's not what you want to
Professor,
do with
one
images.
thing like when I'm going to edit my content aware scale, this option is coming in light gray, means it is not selectable. I don't know
It,
why it's coming like that.
are you selecting the layer though? What layer are you selecting?
With help and background.
So make sure just this is don't select both of them. Just select one of the layers. And then you can go to
Still it's coming in that unselectable light gray font.
this content aware scale.
Yeah.
Do you have a selection active? Maybe go select deselect. Maybe you have a selection that's there by accident. You maybe made one. Another thing I might want to guess here, and I'm just guessing blindly because I can't see your screen. Go to channels and make sure you're not clicking on any channels. Just make sure RGB is selected by default and then go back to layers and just make sure this
Mhm.
layer is selected. Is it working now?
No, it's not working for me.
Do you want to share your screen? I want to see.
Uh,
So this might happen from time to time where you might come into a situation where you can't see what I'm trying to do here. What I want you to do is be able to share your screen so I can help you. Because there's like 1,000 possibilities that can happen. I can't possibly guess, what's happening on your screen now. So what I would suggest that you do is
I have
share
shared the screen. Yeah.
you're sharing it now?
Yeah, it's showing me that you are sharing your screen.
Perfect. So I can see your screen now. Now this without help looks red already. So something's happening there without help. So can you click on with help, the layer? Just click on that layer, but not the, yeah, click on it right there. Now, something's happening with without help. It looks highlighted red. So I'm thinking something happened with the channels there. So click on without help. Click on that layer. But not the visible. Just click on the layer itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then go to channels. So you clicked on the 3 teens on that layer, and that's what happens. Click on the RGB channel, please.
Okay.
And now should be okay. So when that happens, that's why I said don't experiment until, I mean, you can, but make sure you set it back to default. Now go back to layers. You can't do it just yet. You got to go back to layers. Now click on with help. Yeah. And now try to do it. Go to edits.
Yep.
Content aware scale, right? Okay.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And I'm glad you can share your screen. And that goes for every one of you. If you want to share your screen, I guess hit the share button up here. And you should be able to do it without my permission, because sometimes I have to give you the moderator privilege in order for you to do so, right? Okay, excellent. So
shall I stop? Yeah,
I can go to my screen now. That's fine. I can just take over. Right? So now we have, let's go back here for a second. So the whole point of this is I don't want you to go here and experiment. Just like, sorry, who was I just talking to earlier? Was it, which person was it?
Kritika.
Sorry, say it again.
Kritika.
Oh, Pritika. So Pritika showed us her screen. So maybe try this later. If you click here, you have to make sure you click over here. Otherwise, you're going to run into some challenges, right? So the thing is, now that you understand how why is this there, I will fast forward you to what happens next. This layer, if you go to edit and you do with the content aware scale, if you do this, it's still not working, right? That's because we haven't, it's actually worse than the first image. The reason why this is not working is because the background is more complex. Remember the first one, it worked okay. It's just her hand got a little glitched out. This one is completely messed up. So you're going to get different results, varied with different images. So what I'm trying to show you here is this. If you do edit content aware scale, and you do prepare it like such, like you have your 3 teens alpha channel set up, what you can do then is, once you're in this content aware scale mode, you do have the top here, the properties under protect, and you have the alpha channel that I created, that I showed you. Remember I renamed it to 3 teens. If you select that, it's going to protect those areas that I showed you earlier in the alpha channels. So that's the whole point here. So if you protect the 3 teens and then you do the content aware scale, it's going to perfectly protect those selections. It's like freezing those pixels to not get distorted. And that's the results you'll get. And yeah, you can go extreme. Eventually, it won't work. You can't pass a certain boundary, but you can literally go to a slight extent and make that work. And this is all because of the proper preparation of this alpha channel to prevent this from happening. So learning this will teach you more advanced, powerful techniques in Photoshop that you can apply for many, many things. This is just one example of things you can do with selections, right? So now to demonstrate this, for you to know how to make this, like you're like, okay, this is nice, but how do I actually apply this with my work? I'm gonna show you how to do that with this one.
Can I do that probably again? Can I hold shift or something?
Sorry?
Can I do it help slide? Help layer. With help layer.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it now, right? So now I'm gonna do this one. Okay, so this is with help. This is without help. So just make this visible. Okay.
I want to do it with help. Make it inside.
Yeah, so we're doing that now with help. Yeah. I don't want you to do anything right now. I just want you to watch. This is a demonstration, right? So I want you to watch what I'm doing. The only thing you're going to be doing now is what I'm going to do at the moment, okay? So now this is what you're going to do, okay? That was just me explaining it. So please don't do anything, okay? Okay, so now what I'm going to do here, you know what, actually, guys, let's grab a quick break, okay? Leave it down. Let's grab a quick break. And then how about we grab 10 minutes quickly? I just want to prepare something. We'll come back to this one, and then we'll come back in 10 minutes, okay? We'll come back and we'll continue with this exercise. Okay, so 10-minute break, guys. I'll see you guys in 10 minutes. Okay, and this gives you time to prepare too.